Hey everyone, I'm Matt Johnson. I work for Audubon South Carolina, and I'm here at Old Santee Canal Park today. Audubon has been partnering with the park to ban Prothonotary warblers for a few years now, and I thought I'd take you through that process and show you how it works. So come along and find out. So we just caught this really handsome male Prothonotary warbler here at Old Santee Canal Park, and the first thing we're going to do is band it. And I have a band already ready. I'm going to put it on very carefully on its left leg. And just double check that it's closed right. Give it a little twist here to make sure. This band has a 9-digit number on it. So the numbers are 1, 2, 8, 0, 4, 7, 9, 3, 0. So I've got that recorded on the data sheet. And that becomes like this bird's social security number. So if this bird is ever captured again anywhere in the world, this number will identify it and will tell whoever captures it where it came from, where it was originally banded, and it would also let us know if it were where it was recaptured. It could be somewhere else in South Carolina, somewhere during its migration, somewhere all the way down in Central or South America. And then the other part of the project here that we do is we put on color bands. And so this silver band with a number on it tells us if the bird has to be recaptured, you'd have to read that number. But we can use color bands to actually help us identify the bird from a distance without having to consistently recapture it. So we use a series of 3 color bands that uniquely identify this bird. So the first one is this light blue band that we're just using for this year. So that's going to be our year 2020 band. And then we'll put on 2 bands on the other leg. That will be white and red, and we assign every color a number. So every bird that we band gets an alphanumeric code, and these are just small plastic bands that are specifically the right size for the legs of this bird. So they're not too tight on the bird. I'll show you here in just a second, and they're also not too loose. So we're going to put the red one below the white one. Okay, so we got those. Just kind of close them as best I can here. So 4 bands, and the bands weigh next to nothing. They don't hurt the bird. They won't affect the bird's ability to fly or migrate. So this bird has the silver band, blue band for 2020. So this band is actually aluminum. We call that A. So the light blue is for 2020. So we'll just call that 20. And then white is 8 and red is 0. So this is A20 80. So we'll write that down, A20 80. No 2 birds get the same combination of colors. So as the staff and visitors here to Old Santee Canal Park come and visit and they observe a bird that's banded, if they can see the combination of colors, you can actually collect data because you know exactly which bird that is. And it also allows us to know which birds are returning from year to year. So when they leave the park in August and September, they obviously migrate really far away. But some of the birds will come back next year to nest here again. And so using these bands helps us learn which birds were here in previous years. So after we band it, that's always the first thing we do, because if this bird slips out of my hands, at least he's been banded. He has those identifiable markers. The next thing we do is we can look at its feathers to determine its age. So birds lose their feathers, they molt regularly, and they do so in a pattern that oftentimes can give us a clue as to how old they are. And we can look at the sort of really subtle differences in the pattern of the feathers, particularly these coverts. So the primary coverts and the greater or the secondary coverts, you can see differences in there, at least to determine whether a bird is, if a bird was born last year or if it was born prior to last year. So I'm looking at the pattern here, and I've seen a difference that tells me that this bird was likely born last year, which makes it an SY, a second year. It's in its second calendar year here at the park. And after we've told its age, we collect some more data. We'll measure its wing here, 71 millimeters. We'll measure his tail. Comes to 45. We'll check this bird's fat. So birds deposit fat in particular places, and it can give us a sense of how healthy they are. So I don't see any fat on this bird, which is exactly what I would expect this time of year. If we were to catch this bird over the summer or maybe later, like in August, September, we probably would find much more fat as this bird prepares to migrate. Zero out the scale, and then this guy goes upside down into the little tube here. It's actually keep him safe, but we can get a quick weight from him. In you go, dude. There we go. It's 14.2, and we'll bring him safely out the other side. One of the projects, one of the sort of side projects that we're working on with the Prothonotaries this year is looking at feather mites, and we have a colleague over in Arkansas that is trying to analyze feather mites on Prothonotaries. There's a coevolution going on there, trying to understand the species and sort of how they interact across different sites. So this project that we have is actually being done multiple states where people are catching and banding Prothonotaries. So we're just doing a little investigation. So this is one of the tail feathers that we just collected from a Prothonotary warbler. We only collected 2 feathers, and the birds will regrow those feathers. It won't affect their ability to fly or their nesting while they're here at the park. And I wanted to show you the mites. So the reason we collected the feathers because we're doing a study on feather mites. And if you look right here in the middle, you see these dark lines in the white part of the feather, and those are actually mites, M-I-T-E-S. And so we'll take these, put them in a tube, we'll label them and freeze them, and at the end of the field season send them off to our colleagues in Arkansas for their analysis of these mites. So we'll use playback to catch males, but the females don't respond to playback, and so what we'll do is when they build a nest in the nest box and they're incubating the eggs, sitting on the eggs while they're developing, we can actually use the butterfly net to catch them while they're incubating. We'll very quickly band them and then release them and let them get back to incubating. So we're just checking this box. It doesn't look like there's any activity in it, but we'll keep an eye on it throughout the nesting season. So when we're out here banding, our target is to catch Prothonotary warbler, but obviously we set up the mist nets, and occasionally in trying to catch Prothonotaries, we catch other species. So we actually have here a really cool little bird. This is a blue-gray gnatcatcher, like a miniature mockingbird. The proportions of a miniature mockingbird, tiny little bird with a long skinny tail, make a really cool sort of I mean, it's almost like a buzzy, wheezy sort of zzz, zzz, zzz sound that we hear quite a bit in swamps and other wetlands. So we actually had one that flew into the net, and so we safely got it out, and we're just going to let this bird go real quick because it's not a part of this project. Well, that's it for our demonstration today. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to look for Prothonotary warblers the next time you visit Old Santee Canal Park or Beidler Forest, where we also have this project going on.